The day everything fell apart began with a scream so sharp it could split the earth. I remember the sound, high, shrill, and full of disbelief, as it echoed through the school courtyard. It came from Adana, the rich, beautiful girl who always wore designer clothes, perfect braids, and an air of arrogance that told you she owned the world. She was the kind of girl whose shoes cost more than some of our parents' monthly salaries. Her world was flawless, or so we thought. That scream was the beginning of a truth none of us could have imagined. Let me take you back to how it all started. My name doesn't matter. I was just another student watching the drama unfold. But I knew both girls well. Adana, the daughter of the wealthiest family in our village, and Nkem, the poor girl who had no business being in our expensive private school. Nkem wasn't like the rest of us. She wore second-hand uniforms, her shoes were always scuffed, and her lunchbox held simple food, ground nuts and bread. She was quiet but incredibly smart. Teachers adored her and students admired her. It was her mind and kindness that drew people in, like moths to a flame. And that was exactly why Adana hated her. You see, Adana was used to being the center of attention. Her family's money ensured that everyone treated her like royalty. But ever since Nkem arrived on a scholarship, everything changed. Nkem's answers in class were perfect. Her humility was charming. And, perhaps worst of all, she caught the attention of Chijioke, Adana's handsome and wealthy boyfriend. Chijioke wasn't just any boy. He was the school's star. Girls dreamed about him, and Adana had him. Or so she thought. But it became clear to everyone that Chijioke admired Nkem. He would smile at her during class, help her carry her books, and defend her when Adana mocked her for being poor. Chijioke, do you want to carry your poverty too? Adana once spat in front of everyone. I'll never forget the way Nkem's face fell, but she said nothing. She was like that, graceful and strong in a way Adana could never be. But things spiraled out of control after that day. Adana became consumed with her hatred for Nkem. She called her names, spread rumors, and even got other students to make fun of her. Through it all, Nkem stayed quiet, though you could see the sadness behind her eyes. And then came the day of the parent-teacher meeting. That was the day everything changed. It started with whispers. First, faint murmurs, like the rustling of leaves, then full-blown shock. I saw Adana's mother walk into the school office, her face tight with anger. Moments later, Nkem's mother, who worked as a cleaner at the school, was summoned too. None of us knew what was going on, but we felt something big was about to happen. The truth hit like a thunderstorm. Adana's mother and Nkem's mother were called to address a strange discovery. The hospital where both girls had been born had mixed up two babies over a decade ago. Yes, you guessed it. Nkem, the quiet, brilliant poor girl, was actually the biological daughter of Adana's wealthy parents. And Adana, the spoiled rich girl, was the child of the woman who had been cleaning floors and toilets at the school. When the headmaster announced it, there was silence. Then that scream. Adana's scream. I remember watching her face crumble, as if the earth beneath her feet had been snatched away. Her hands trembled as her mother tried to calm her down. I'll never forget the sight of Nkem standing quietly at the corner, her face pale but calm, her hands clutching her torn bag. Adana refused to believe it. You're lying, she screamed. I'm not one of them. She's the poor one. She doesn't belong here. But deep down, I think she knew the truth. The truth had been staring at us all along. Nkem's brilliance, her calm, her strength. She had something Adana didn't: resilience that no money could buy. The days that followed were strange, and Kem's real parents tried to bring her home, showering her with gifts and apologies. But Nkem was quiet, as though a part of her had been torn away. She loved the woman who had raised her, even if they were poor. Meanwhile, Adana was sent to live with her biological family, a family who had no riches, no maids, and no shiny cars. I heard stories afterward. People said Adana had trouble adjusting to her new life. They said she cried every night, angry at the fate she couldn't control. And Kem, on the other hand, visited her biological parents often, but chose to stay with the woman who raised her. "She's my real mother," she would say softly. If there's a lesson in this story, it's this: life is strange. Riches, beauty, and status are all temporary. In the end, the strength of our character matters more than where we come from. And Kem may have grown up poor, but her spirit was rich. And Adana? She had to learn the hard way that wealth doesn't make you better than others. I still think about those two girls.